What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast. This is just a quick video today, just a little combine preview. With the combine starting today, they've already started measurements. The combine is in about 3 hours from now. At the time of recording this, I just wanted to kind of preview kind of what was going on and players to watch and stuff like that. And kind of what I was going to do for the combine. So after today's session, which is quarterbacks, receivers, and tight ends, I will be doing a recap of that. And then after the next 3 sessions, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I will be doing a recap of all those on Monday because I will be out of town this weekend. But let's get into it. So for the quarterbacks, kind of like people to watch, I think, obviously the big 6. So Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Carson Strong, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, and who's the other one? I think Kenny Pickett. I don't think Matt Corral is throwing, though, which I really did want to see him throw. I think that he has probably like just the most natural like throwing motion out of all these quarterbacks there, and I was really excited to see him, but he's not throwing. And then I don't think Malik Willis is running, which is I think questionable in my decision, like because he's very athletic, very fast. I thought it would help him out to run, but he's not running. A guy I'm actually interested to see run is De'Aaron King from Miami, because he could potentially switch positions and do really well there. So I wonder if that might have anything to do with it. And then, big news already coming out is Kenny Pickett has 8.5-inch hands, which is not great, to say the least. That's really gonna, that's brutal for him, man. I mean, that may not seem like much, but that's really brutal. And then, of course, another guy I'm excited to watch, Brock Purdy, from Iowa State, being an Iowa State fan. And then we go to running backs. I'm just going to go in order by position here. I think they're tomorrow. I think they're Friday. There's a bunch of interesting guys in this class. I think, you have the guys at the top, like Isaiah Spiller and Breece Hall and Kyron Williams. But I think there's some very intriguing guys here. Max Borge from Washington State, I think, is a really interesting scat back. I think he's probably day 3 guy, but he's very interesting. I'm very excited to see what he can do. The 2 guys from Georgia, James Cook and Samir White, interested to see what they can do because they're kind of a different, Cook's more of like the power back, kind of like his brother Dalvin, and then Zamir White's kind of more, he's shiftier. It's going to be interesting to see what that duo is going to do. I'm excited to see Jerome Ford from Cincinnati. I think he's one of the more slept-on guys in this class and could potentially grade out as a top 5 running back. Hassan Haskins, who had a great postseason. Sincere McCormick, who was great for UTSA. Brian Robinson, I think, is another guy that I think a lot of people are sleeping on, could go early round 2. I think he's got great explosiveness, and he's a powerful runner. I think he has better hands than people give him credit for. Kind of like Najee Harris last year was really underrated as a pass catcher. I think that's I don't think he's going to be as good as a pass catcher as Najee Harris, but I think Brian Robinson's definitely underrated in that category. And then you got CJ Verdell, who had that big game against Ohio State. Going to be interesting to see kind of how he performs. And then, of course, Kenneth Walker as another Heisman candidate. There, I'm interested to see what he runs. Want to see if he, breaks like 4.45, which I don't think he will, but definitely another guy to keep an eye on as potential RB1. Then we got the receivers. Oh man, am I excited! I am so excited to see these receivers. Some of them have already been tested. Gotten their measurements and stuff. And I think, some of them were surprising. I think I was surprised at the, what Garrett Wilson tested at. I'm surprised he weighed as small as he did at, I think it was 183 pounds. I thought he would test closer to like 190 or 195, but that wasn't the case. Um, but Treylin Burks is just, his measurements are absolutely ridiculous. With it being, he's 6'2", 225, 33.5-inch arms, and a 79 and an eighth inch wingspan. That is just absolutely nuts. I can't wait to see him run. Obviously Drake London, Olave, Garrett Wilson, too bad Jameson Williams can't run because I think he would have ran faster than Chris Olave, but and then kind of like some other guys to watch that are not like the big names. I think Christian Watson out of North Dakota State has the potential to really rise his draft stock today. He's phenomenal, big-bodied hands guy, and I've seen some people mock him in the first round, which I think he has the opportunity to like show that he can go there. Had a great Senior Bowl. I think he's really a very underrated prospect. Khalil Shaker, another guy with a really good Senior Bowl from Boise State, probably a day 2 guy. I'd be interested to see how he performs today. Justin Ross, who, without the neck injury, I think he would be a first-round pick. George Pickens, I think people aren't talking about George Pickens enough. I think he's going to test like an absolute freak, and I think he's going to rise draft boards from his combine performance. Because I truly think that George Pickens could be a top 5 receiver in this class, depending on how he tests. Kyle Phillips, who's one of the best route runners in the nation, had an absolutely dirty clip on Twitter that I saw. He's going to be another guy to watch. Sky Moore from Western Michigan, very underrated. Then you have, Johan Dotson, who don't think a lot of people are talking about either, who's a potential first rounder. I had him in my first round for a mock draft. I think he's going to run really well. Maybe sub 4.45, so we'll see how he does. And then I think Slade Bolden, another underrated guy. I think he's probably going to be a day 3 guy, but I think probably one of the better slot prospects in this draft. And David Bell as well has the potential to really solidify himself in the first round. Tight ends is an interesting draft class. You got guys like Trey McBride, Isaiah Likely, who are probably competing for that number 1 tight end spot. And you have other guys like Chase Allen, Charlie Kohler from Iowa State, James Mitchell from Virginia Tech, Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State, Jalen Weiderman from A&M. I think those guys are the main guys to watch there. Coming out of your tight end group, it's not the strongest tight end group. There've been some weak tight end groups of late, but I think, you can get some day 2, day 3 late finds there. I know the tight ends, they're going to be interesting to watch. Then you have your O-line group, which I think there's a bunch of different guys to watch. I'm sad that Evan Neal's not going to be testing. He's going to wait till his pro day. Was really excited to see him because he could have really jumped off the page. But for guys you want to look out for, Charles Cross, easy first rounder. I think him and Pass Pro is going to be really fun to watch. Obviously, Ike Ekwonu. Daniel Falale from Minnesota is an absolute mammoth of a dude. He's like 6'8", like 370, and moves really well. So he's an interesting guy to watch. Luke Fortner from Kentucky. Luke Goedeke from Central Michigan. Kenyon Green from A&M. Marquise Haynes from OU. Those are some interesting guys in there as well. Zion Johnson, who's probably one of my favorite prospects in this draft. Might be a top 10 guy for me when all is said and done. I mean, he's just an absolute freak. From Boston College, Darian Kinnert, probably a late day 2 guy, early day 3 guy, very interesting. Linderbaum and Lindstrom, 2 of the best, probably interior offensive line prospects. Then you got Abraham Lucas, Tyre Munford Jr., Trevor Penning, Nick Petit-Ferret, Bernard Raymond, and guys like that are, could very well be first round picks or could, fall out of the first round and into, day 2, day 3 territory. So depending on their comment. And then you look at D-line here. I think this includes edge. I don't know. The terminology for this needs to change. Obviously you got like your interior D-line guys like Jordan Davis, Logan Hall, Travis Jones from Connecticut, and then you have your edge guys. Really excited to see like Thibodeau, Hutchinson, George Karlaftis, Majai Sanders from Cincinnati, very underrated guy. Ojabo is going to test really well, I think. And I think another guy, the two that might test really well, is underrated. Kingsley Mbaré from South Carolina. I think Jermaine Johnson's going to test really well. Very interesting edge / D-line group. There's a bunch of different guys there, and these guys could really rise up the board with good combines. Then your linebackers, obviously, you're looking at Devin Lloyd, you're looking at Kobe Dean, Christian Harris from Alabama's one. You're looking at Chad Muma from Wyoming has done really well. Mike Rose from Iowa State has risen up the boards recently. Nephi Sewell from Utah, another underrated prospect. Quay Walker from Georgia, I've seen mocked in the first round a little bit. So I think this linebacker class is very interesting. You have some very interesting sleepers in this draft class especially. So we'll see kind of how they, how they test. Leo Chanal from Wisconsin, another underrated guy. And then the DBs. And I'm very disappointed that Derek Stingley Jr. is not testing because I wanted to see what his 40 time was. I think it would have been under 4.4. I truly think that, but he's not quite 100% healthy. So DBs, obviously you're looking at like Sauce Gardner, McDuffie, Kyler Gordon, another Washington DB, Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson, Kyer Elam from Florida, Kobe Bryant from Cincinnati. There's a bunch of guys here. Lewis Sine is a safety prospect. It was very interesting. Dax Hill, I'm really excited to see. Kyle Hamilton, I'm excited to see what those guys run. Kirby Joseph from Illinois has gotten some buzz in the last couple weeks. Roger McCreary, Verone McKinley III, who might be my most underrated prospect in this draft. I think he's easily a top 3 safety. Very smart player. Very excited to see how he does at the combine. One of my favorite prospects in this draft, maybe the most underrated. So definitely a guy to look out for. Jalen Petrie as well from Baylor. And then you got your specialists, kickers, punters, long snappers. But overall, I think this combine is going to be very interesting. Today is probably the day that I would watch. If you're going to watch any day, I think it's got, some very exciting prospects. I'm really excited to see some of these guys go out there and compete, especially at the receiver position. I think it's one of the more loaded positions in this draft class. But that's all I have for you. I will see you tomorrow with my recap on today's combine day. But that's all I got for you. Have a great day, everybody, and peace.